Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I begin by acknowledging the government of Rwanda and the friendship that's extended to our office by the government of Rwanda, and especially by the Minister for Civic Engagement and Unity, Honorable Damasen Bizimana, who is here today. I'm very grateful because this is an office with very delicate mandate. One of my predecessors told me this is the impossible mandate, but it is not impossible when you have friends like we have here in Rwanda. And tomorrow I will be speaking. I have a whole session to speak about the mandate of the office. So today I will not go deeply into the mandate. Just to acknowledge that, that we operate our office on the legal framework that was put together through the 1948 Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, and that this was put together at a time when the world felt so strongly that never again would actually mean never again, and emerging from the horrors of the Second World War and specifically the Holocaust, through the efforts of one man, Raphael Lemkin, we got the name Genocide. Raphael Lemkin, who was Polish-Jewish lawyer, and he also was behind the push for not only getting a resolution to establish this convention, but for the convention itself. And he lived it. It was his entire life. We are always so grateful to him. So I would also like to speak a little about my dear friend, Stefania Giannini, who just left this podium. Because our office, in addition to prevention of genocide, as Stefania has said, we are also charged with leading globally efforts on countering hate speech. And with Stefania, first, whom I'm so grateful to because she warmly welcomed me to the UN, and together in October 2021, we convened a meeting of ministers of education from all the countries in the world, and it was chaired by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And out of that global meeting, the ministers of education produced 5 outcomes on countering hate speech through education. And from one of the outcomes, we already jointly produced a policy document, a policy for policymakers on education, and we launched it with Stefania again in Costa Rica last year. So very grateful to that, but also very grateful to you, how touched I am each time, Stefania, I go to any memorial site here in Rwanda and I see UNESCO, because I know what that means, the significance of certification of UNESCO of our heritage sites. And so even this site where we are right now is one of the certified sites of, by UNESCO. So very grateful to you, Stefania, and especially in your role as the topmost person who is in charge of education in the entire UN. So thank you very much. And then I must mention Serge Bramats, who is Under Secretary General Serge Bramats, who is also the chief prosecutor for the International Rescue Mechanism, which is a long name, but which basically means that when the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia completed their work, that they handed over to the International Rescue Mechanism, and then the Rescue Mechanism is the one that holds together all the work that has been done by these important institutions. Especially important because, you know, between the period when the 1948 Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide was put together, up until when the genocide against the Tutsi happened here in Rwanda, we had not had a conviction for genocide. So for the effective prosecution to the extent that we got convictions for genocide, not only here in Rwanda, but quite a number in Yugoslavia, and also in Cambodia, then it means a lot in terms of setting agendas, in terms of precedents, and especially in terms of putting meaning to the word punishment in the Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. And so Saj and I always refer to ourselves as the brothers and sisters of choice, because we chose each other. We always do work together, and we are very close. So today, we speak today in an atmosphere that is very heavy with history, as we meet in Rwanda, which we know horrifically witnessed the ravages of genocide, but also rose firmly for reconciliation. It has been 3 decades, it's incredible to imagine, since the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. But it's a humbling reminder of just how the capacity that ordinary human beings have for evil to destroy, but also the capacity for human beings have to then begin working on healing and reconciliation. So the theme of this conference is it all: listening and leading. It is through listening that the spirit will be harnessed in real leadership. It is an open and honest dialogue among scholars, practitioners, educators, and policymakers, that diversity will empower us to better unravel this complexity of peace building, resilience, and justice. So inspired by Aegis Trust for bringing all of us together, so inspired by the consistency of Aegis Trust in everything they've done. We always, of course, from the inspiration I spoke of Raphael Lemkin, who gave us the first human rights convention, the Convention on the Prevention of Genocide. Very inspired by the story of the Smith brothers, their commitment, what they were able to do. So inspired by the board, so inspired by all of you who work for Aegis Trust, Freddie, inspired by your personal story of loss, inspired by rising above that loss to give so much back to the world. So we are inspired of the focus of this conference on transformational justice, knowing that there exists a need not only to prosecute perpetrators for past acts of crimes, but also to implement changes in society, providing a ground base for durable peace in the future. And it is in this forward-looking approach that gives hope for the construction of a world with no violence and free from genocide and related crimes, of war crimes and crimes against humanity. As an answer. So Rwanda is the beacon to the world of what healing and reconciliation processes resemble and feel like. And much is shared here and will be shared here, learning from experiences, challenges, and successes that have something to teach us in this very respect, sharing best practices that we can apply elsewhere to prevent the recurrence of such a tragedy. Last evening, we had a conversation with Rabbi Michael of San Francisco, and he was talking about having gone to the reconciliation village, having met a man who was sitting next to this woman, and he said, you know, I killed her children, I killed her husband, and they found a way to reconcile. And I told him that I too know somebody here in Rwanda, a woman who adopted as a son the young man who killed her own son. And we were thinking, what kind of human beings do that? How difficult that would be. It's very, very difficult to imagine, to even imagine that thinking. But also to recognize what Rwanda did when Rwanda was left to itself, that Rwanda spoke to itself and said, we must find a way of finding ourselves out of what we are in, and that's how they put together this model that now we all come to learn from. So the launch of the Isoko Peace Institute will mark a pivotal moment in our collective pursuit of a world free from violence, named after the very place that offered refuge to many during the genocide. A place also where people were hemmed in so that they could be attacked during the genocide. This institute signifies a critical step forward. It represents a commitment to move beyond remembrance and actively build a future rooted in peace and understanding. So the Institute's focus on education is especially inspiring. Equipping future generations with the knowledge and tools to identify and address the root causes of conflict is vital. Education and awareness raising on past instances of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, and the associated risk factors is also an important tool for prevention of these heinous crimes. And further, education, as Stephanie said, here, and I refer to both formal and informal, can help instill values of inclusion, respect for human rights, and promote non-discrimination. So their commitment of ages to collaboration also resonates deeply. Building a more peaceful world requires a collective effort, as we know, and the collaboration with educational institutions, civil society organizations, and national, regional, and international bodies promises a powerful network for change. So what is most inspiring, however, is the focus on transformational justice, recognizing that there is a need not only to prosecute perpetrators for past acts of crimes, but also to effect fundamental changes in the greater society, providing a foundation for durable peace. So I go back to the wisdom of Nelson Mandela, who so eloquently stated, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion or her. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." So the responsibility for building a more peaceful world lies with each of us. Let us support the Isoko Peace Institute in its mission to foster education, dialogue, and understanding. Let us give of our all. Let us give everything that we have towards this institute. Let us be agents of positive change and ensure the horrors of the past pave the way for a brighter, more peaceful future. So this will be an action-oriented conference, and not, we will exchange ideas here, and in the next few days, we will engage in such detailed discussions of our key issues, and may each one of us, because we all bring such strong agency to this room, and that's why we are all here, may each of us commit ourselves anew to work together, innovate, and produce concrete, actionable measures. Just yesterday, I was talking at the site of the Isoko Peace Institute, and I was saying, I have a background of peace building and human rights, and how we've struggled with peace builders, including the original creators of the peace building discipline. We've been having all these discussions in terms of what do we need to do different now? Are the peace building approach that have worked in the past, can they work for today's conflict? How do we link peace building with prevention of genocide? What is it that we need to do? And so Isoko then presents a future for us of thinking this way. So I would like to say with Aegis Trust, we spent the last few days working with a group of some of the greatest journalists in the world, carefully selected. We've been sitting in a room just up here, and in the last 3 days, we've put together a draft of a plan of action for countering hate speech and preventing incitement to violence that could lead to genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. And this plan of action is for journalists and other media actors, and it speaks to all aspects in which we can look at preventing this horrendous crime. And I say this because we mustn't lose sight of why we are here, like just close to us, just very close, like 1 minute's walk from where I'm standing. We have hundreds of thousands of people buried. We also have the exhibition of the story of what happened to them, and that we mustn't lose sight of that. And we know as an office, we are so firmly grounded in never forgetting why the 1948 Convention exists, and for us it's about the human beings, the people who were deliberately targeted, because genocide is a crime of deliberate targeting during the Holocaust. And we also remember that our office was created by the former Secretary General, the late Kofi Annan, and in the letter that he wrote to the Security Council creating this office, he said, he wrote about the tragedies that had happened after the Second World War that informed the creation of the 1948 Convention. But he also said, we need to prevent another genocide like that happened to the Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994. we need to prevent another genocide like that happened in Srebrenica in 1995. So our office remains completely grounded. So the people of Bosnia-Herzegovina, you are here. Thank you so much for coming. People of Cambodia, you're here. Thank you so much for coming. We're very grateful to you, the people of Rwanda, and just to reassure you that our office is always, always, always completely grounded in the fact that we only exist because there were survivors who told the story. So thank you very much, and again, I wish you a very fruitful discussion, and to you, Ambassador Johanna, your last day here, and your last and most memorable day here. I don't think anyone could exemplify more in their words and in the way you spoke about what Rwanda means to the world. The beauty that is in this country, the pain that has formed the beauty that is in this country, and the feelings that we have for this country, having seen what this country made of itself after the genocide against the Tutsi. So thank you, everybody, and have a very nice time and enjoy Rwanda. Thank you.